Once upon a time, in a quaint rural village nestled among rolling hills, there lived a young boy named Arthur. At 18, Arthur was strong and resourceful, but his skills were limited to hunting in the sprawling forests that surrounded his home. He lived with his aging grandfather, a carpenter whose hands had shaped wood into masterpieces for decades. However, as time passed, his grandfather's strength began to wane, and his once masterful craftsmanship became a distant memory. Despite their humble life, Arthur adored his grandfather, who had always been his guide and protector. Over the years, the old man often spoke cryptically of a treasure he intended to leave for Arthur, a treasure, he claimed, that was far more valuable than gold or jewels. Yet, as days turned to weeks and weeks to months, Arthur began to lose hope. What treasure could a poor carpenter possess? The years marched on, and the grandfather's health deteriorated until he was confined to bed. Arthur did his best to care for him, bringing home food from his hunts and tending to the house. One fateful evening, as the old man lay weakened but at peace, he called Arthur to his bedside. With trembling hands and a voice barely audible, he revealed his secret. "The treasure, Arthur, is the bed you see before you," he whispered. "For years it has kept me well, healed my pains, and granted me a longer life. But I stopped sleeping on it so that I could leave this world sooner. I didn't want to burden you anymore. Its power, however, is unpredictable. It may lie dormant for years before it heals again. You must guard it well." Arthur listened, his heart heavy with sorrow and regret. He had spent years doubting his grandfather's words, and now, as the old man drew his final breath, the truth became clear. Arthur mourned deeply, vowing to honor his grandfather's wishes. He decided not to use the bed for himself, instead keeping it safe until the right moment, a moment that might change someone's life. Time passed, and loneliness took hold. Arthur struggled to find purpose in the empty home where memories of his grandfather lingered. Finally, he resolved to leave the village, packing the few possessions he had, including the magical bed. He wandered for weeks, following dirt paths that twisted like veins through the countryside, until he reached a bustling port city. The sights and sounds of the city amazed Arthur. Towering buildings lined the streets, merchants bartered goods from distant lands, and ships docked with cargo that glimmered in the sunlight. It was a world unlike the simple one he had known. With little money left, Arthur rented a tiny room and began exploring the city. As the days turned into weeks, Arthur's funds ran out, and he was forced to take on grueling labor jobs to survive. Yet, despite his struggles, he remained captivated by the vibrancy of the city. One evening, while eating at a modest tavern, he overheard a group of locals discussing the city's wealthiest merchant, a man revered for his fairness and honesty. The merchant's life, however, was shadowed by profound sadness. His only daughter had been born with a mysterious illness that no physician could cure. The merchant and his wife cherished her deeply, but their days were filled with heartbreak. It was said that anyone who could heal her would be rewarded with a quarter of the merchant's fortune, and, if the daughter wished, her hand in marriage. Arthur's heart stirred as he listened to the tale. The magical bed. Could it be the answer to the merchant's prayers? Gathering his courage, Arthur approached the merchant's grand home the next day. Though skeptical, the merchant agreed to hear Arthur's proposal. Arthur explained the bed's healing properties, recounting his grandfather's story with conviction. Desperation outweighed doubt, and the merchant allowed Arthur to try. The bed was placed in the daughter's room, where she rested day and night under Arthur's watchful eye. Weeks passed, then months, as Arthur supported her with care and encouragement. Slowly, the girl's health improved, her pale cheeks gaining color, her frail limbs regaining strength. Arthur and the daughter grew close, sharing stories and dreams that brought smiles to her once solemn face. One morning, the impossible happened. The merchant's daughter rose from the bed, her illness gone. The family rejoiced, their hearts filled with gratitude. True to his promise, the merchant offered Arthur his reward, but Arthur refused the wealth. His bond with the daughter was the greatest gift, and as fate would have it, she shared his feelings. Their wedding was a celebration unlike any other. The city, united by joy, honored the young hunter from the countryside who had brought hope and healing. Arthur and his new wife built a life together, one filled with love and purpose.